So in order to explain, as part of today's session, we are going to talk about customer master data. Based on the previous classes discussion, we understood that we have different master data elements. Those are customer master data, material master data, condition master data, customer material information data, and output master data. So we understood that there are different master data elements, out of which we started the first master data element, that is customer master data. So let me log into the system. What is the T code? What is the transaction code to access or to create customer master data, to change the customer master data, to display the customer master data? So there are two different types of T codes. Let me open our Excel. So go to master sheet. So if you want to maintain, or if you are maintaining the customer master data at sales level, if you are maintaining the customer master data at the sales organization level or at the sales and distribution level, the T code is VD01 is for creating the customer master data, VD02 is for changing the customer master data, and VD03 is for displaying the customer master data. Whereas if you want to create the customer master, if you want to create the customer master at the company code level, if you want to create the customer master data at the company code level, then the T codes are XD01 is for creating the customer master at the company code data or company code level. XD02 is for changing the customer master data at the company code level, and XD03 is for displaying the customer master at company code level. Okay, I will write here. VD01 is the transaction code to create. VD01 is the transaction code to create customer at a sales level or sales org level. Okay, and VD02 is for changing the customer master. Sometimes you need to make some changes to the customer master, right? First, what you do in the first step, we always create the customer masters. We always create the customers. So what T codes, what transaction code we use to create the customer master? VD01 is the T code which we use. If in case after some time you found that like you entered a wrong tax classification, or you entered incorrect Incoterms, you entered you maintained incorrect payment terms, or you made some mistakes, like you did not maintain the customer master data properly while creating it. And then what you need to do, you will not create one more time, right? You don't need to create one more time. So what you can do, you can go to the change mode. You can go to the change mode of that customer. That is, the transaction code is VD02. So by getting into the same customer by using the T code VD02, whatever the changes you wanted to make, like if you want to make the customer classification, if you want to make the customer's payment terms, if you want to change the customer's Incoterms, or if you want to change the customer's shipping conditions, if you want to change the customer like tax classification, like this, any changes or any data which you did not maintain in the first level or first step, those things we can do using the T code VD02, that is the change the customer or also change the customer master, okay, at the sales org level. Okay, and then if you want to display, if you want to see like what changes, what is your customer master, if you want to display, you don't want to make any changes, but if you want to display what is the customer master, what is your customer master details, okay, what is the customer master payment terms, what are the customer master Incoterms, what are the customer master shipping conditions, what are the customer master tax classification, or what is the customer master dunning levels. There are different things. If you want to display those things, if you want to display any customer which was created earlier, you can go to the VD03, that is display customer master at sales org level. Okay, now one more T code, one more other T codes to use to create the customer master, to create the to change the customer master, to display the customer master is XD01. It is also for the same creating the customer master, but at what level? At the company code level. So if you want to maintain, if you want to create the customer master at company code level, that means if you want to maintain, company code data, if you want to maintain company code data for your customer, then you have to go to the XD01. Whereas if you want to maintain the customer master at sales organization level, then you have to use the VD01. Okay, and again, as you know that change customer master at the company code level, that is XD02. 2 is always represents change, 1 is always represents create, 3 is always represents display, as I explained earlier. Okay. Okay, and then XD03 display customer master at company code level. So now let us go to the VD01 to create the customer master at the sales organization level. Okay. So VD01. So when I click on when I use the transaction code VD01 and hit enter, so it is taking me to the create customer master sales. That means at the sales organization level. So whenever you are creating any customer master, what do you need to select? You have to select the account group. So why do you need to select the account group? Because, so Umaira, why do we need to select the account group? Because
account group decides how the transaction, how it reacts, because
no, right? Okay, let me put it this way. The account group which you are selecting controls, okay, very first thing is what number series or what number is supposed to assign it to this customer, right? Because
yes,
you maintain number range interval. You maintain number range interval at the account group level, and according to the number range interval which you assign it to the account group, and system according to the number range interval which you assign it to the account group, according to that system will give the number to this customer. Whatever the customer we are going to create, whatever the customer we are going to generate, so for that customer the number is assigned to the number is assigned to the number range
Account.
to this account group. That's why you need to select. And also this account group controls what fields should be mandatory for this customer while creating, what fields should be optional, what fields should be can be hide or can be suppressed. So these kind of details we maintain, we control at the account group level. So that way it will help you to assign the number to the customer which we are going to create, and also what is going to happen, the system also controls what fields are important, what fields are optional, or other details. Okay, select the customer, select the sold to party, that is account group, and then so you need to, since you are creating at a customer master at the sales level, you need to select the sales organization, distribution channel, and the division. Select the sales organization and also select under what distribution channel you are creating this customer. And also let us system know that which division this customer belongs to, which division of products this customer are eligible to sell. Okay, so we need to specify which sales organization this customer is going to be belongs to, which distribution channel this customer is going to be used, and which division products this customer this customer is allowed to buy in the future. That way you need to select the sales organization, distribution channel, division. So what is this combination called in SAP? The combination of sales organization, distribution channel, division is called what?
Sales area.
Sales area. So that's what you can see here. So basically the combination of sales organization, distribution channel, division makes a sales area in SAP. Okay, at any point of time if anybody asks you, sales area means it is created, it makes the combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and the division. Okay, so sometimes if in case you want to create this customer with reference to any other customer, so sometimes if you want to create this customer with reference to any other customer, sometimes what happens, mostly like the details of two different customers may be the similar. Okay, they may be having same shipping conditions, they may be having same pricing criteria, they may be having same Incoterms, payment terms. Then what happens in the previous screen, whatever the screen I showed you just a few seconds back, in the previous screen you can specify the reference customer and create this customer master. Okay, and now while creating the customer master data, you can see like different tabs. Okay, you see sales area data, okay, and general data. Okay, that means when you are creating the customer master at the sales organization level or at the sales level, you need to fill two different kind of data. One is the general data, and then the sales area data. Okay, now we are filling the general data. Under the general data, we have multiple tabs under the general data. So general data means basically the general data of the customer consists of, so what is the name of the customer, what is the the title of the customer, what is the search term for the customer, and what are the address details for the customer, and other other details which are generic to this customer. Like basically when you think about the general data, it includes like name and address details. General data of the customer includes the name and address details. Okay, so let us enter the details of name. If in case is whether it is a company, if it is a company, you need to select the company. If your customer is a company, you can select customer company. Okay, okay, you can select the search term for our customer. So if you have any post box number, you can also enter that. Okay, and then once you enter the address data, mostly while creating the customer master at the sales level, we always maintain only the address and the name details. Okay, and if you go to the other tabs, these things are called the tabs, different tabs of general data. Okay, control data, we don't generally maintain anything. This is basically if this customer is also acting, if this customer is also playing the role as a vendor. Okay, if this customer is also playing a role as a vendor, then if you already created that vendor number, if you already created a vendor number for this customer, you can specify here the vendor number. That means if in case this customer, the customer which you are creating now, if this customer is also playing the role as a vendor, sometimes the same person can be playing as buying something and selling something to us, right? It's possible, right, Vivek? Sometimes the same person like buying something from us, and at the same time he might be selling something to our company. Then what does it mean? He's playing the role as a vendor. He's also playing the role as a customer. Vivek, am I correct? Hello, Vivek. Okay, Vivek, are you able to hear me? Okay. Vijay, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Venkat. Yes.
So you understood, right? If in case the same customer, the same person is playing the role as a vendor, and then what happens? You might have created the vendor record, right? So if a vendor record, who will create? SD team will not responsible for the vendor record. Purchasing team, MM team, materials management team members, materials management people are responsible. If they already create a vendor number, you can enter that vendor number here. Okay, and if you have any other details like tax numbers, okay, that also you can maintain. And marketing data also, we don't maintain anything. If you want to maintain the customer classification here, okay, like what kind of customer he is, it is basically the customer classification, uh, the way how he does the business with you. Okay, in simple words, you can say what kind of customer, or what kind of customer he is. Okay, that kind of classification you do here. But whatever the values here, it is not appropriate here. It looks like people created some demo purpose, but it is not appropriate value. Basically the customer classification specifies what kind of customer he is. Okay, and if you have any unloading points, you can specify here. So, but mostly, as I mentioned, when it comes to the general data is always considered or always related to the name and address details of the customer. That's mostly what we maintain. Okay, and marketing, like sometimes you maintain, any Nielsen ID for if the customer is related to any kind of R&D activities. Okay, then you can specify the Nielsen ID for this customer. And then the next important thing what we have to take into consideration is sales area data. So this is the data which is very important. This is the data which is very important for sales and distribution perspective. Okay, so under the sales area data, you can see different tabs. You can see the sales tab, you can see the shipping tab. Okay, the sales tab represents all sales related fields. So all the sales related fields, like what is the sales, what sales district this customer belongs to, what sales office this customer belongs to, what sales group this customer belongs to, what customer group this customer belongs to. Okay, what is the currency applicable for this customer. Okay, and also what is the order probability for this customer. Sometimes what happens, like some customers are not sure, right? So you are not sure about some customers, so then you maintain only order probability like 30% or 40%. But if you are sure that this customer is 100% guarantee customer, when they're placing the order, you can say that 100% order probability is there. Okay, and also you can maintain here so this also not that much important, but let me come here. So you can maintain exchange rate. Okay, so when you maintain the currency, you can specify so what exchange rate. Okay, generally what happens, whenever you create a billing, whenever you create a billing document for this customer, whenever you create a billing document for this customer, if the currency of the customer, if the currency of the customer is different from your company, if the currency of the customer, if the currency of your customer is different from your company, that means if your company is using USD as a currency, if your company is using USD as a currency, and if your customer is using like CAD, Canadian dollars as a currency, then what happens while creating the billing document, so okay, the value of your billing document has to be converted. While creating the billing document, the value of your customer invoice, the value of the billing document has to be converted to the Canadian dollars, has to be converted to the Canadian dollars. So while converting the value of the US dollars into Canadian dollars, so you need to follow certain exchange rate, right? You need to follow certain exchange rate. So that exchange rate you specify here. So what exchange rate is applicable for this customer while converting the the value of billing document into the customer terms or the customer currency. Okay, that is what you have to maintain. Okay, and then there is something called customer pricing procedure. Customer pricing procedure. It is difficult to make you understand at this moment, but let me try. Basically, what happens when you create a sales order? When you create a sales order, what happens? The system, when you create a sales order, the system has to determine the price. The system has to determine the price for a product. The system has to determine the system has to identify the price, or the system has to determine the price for a product. Whenever it is trying to determine the price for a product, okay, we use something called pricing procedure determination. We use something called pricing procedure determination. Okay, that pricing procedure determination use this field as a one of the criteria, that is customer pricing procedure. That means while system using the pricing procedure determination for a sales order, while system determining the pricing for a sales order, using the pricing procedure determination, this is the one of the key element. Customer pricing procedure is one of the key element. Okay, so that key element you need to specify here. So what is the customer pricing procedure? Whether the customer pricing procedure is mostly we say like the standard. Okay, sometimes you say like any other pricing procedures as well. Okay, if in case if the customer is performing different kind of activity, if the customer is having different kind of activity, okay, that time for example, if the customer belongs to agricultural related industry, if the customer belongs to agricultural related industry, if the customer belongs to oil and gas industry, so if the customer needs, that means if the customer needs different pricing criteria, then you need to specify that as a separate customer pricing procedure indicator. Okay, in general we maintain customer pricing procedure indicator as a standard. If in case if the customer is a different kind of category which is buying different kind of products, okay, like agricultural products, oil and gas industry products, or store products, okay, like that is up to you. That means it is like this. Whenever you wanted to have different pricing approach, for this customer, or whenever you wanted to have different pricing procedure determination for this customer, then you can maintain different pricing procedure indicator. Mostly we use a standard customer pricing procedure indicator. If in case if the customer belongs to different product category, if the customer is responsible, if the customer is making a sales with the different items or the different industries or the different product categories, then you can maintain different pricing procedure indicator, because you don't follow the same pricing indicator for all kind of businesses, right? All kind of customers, right? Some you follow different pricing strategy. For your customer based on what kind of customer he is. Okay, that you specify using the customer pricing procedure indicator. So what is the customer pricing procedure indicator which is applicable for this customer? According to that, system will determine different pricing procedure while performing the sales order process. Okay, that you can specify here. And if you go to the shipping, so it is a mandatory field. Okay, what is controlling? Vivek, I just told you what is controlling. Which field is mandatory, which field is optional, or which field is like grayed out? What is controlling? Account group which you selected while creating this customer. Am I correct? Vijay, Umeda, correct, right? Okay. So at
Yes.
Yes, Venkat.
the account group which you selected earlier, that is controlling. There you maintain customer pricing procedure as a mandatory.
Ma'am.
Okay. And you can specify the delivery priority. So what is the delivery priority? Whether the delivery priority this customer is high or normal, or next day or immediately, or the 2 day are okay, that low. So that delivery priority you can specify. The delivery priority you can specify in the shipping tab of the customer, and also you can specify the shipping conditions. So whether you wanted to deliver the product as soon as possible, okay, whether we need to deliver the product to this customer as soon as possible, that is like 01, or no rush. Are you okay with delivering the goods in a normal way? So that you can specify like and in the form of shipping conditions. So what are the different shipping conditions applicable, are considered for this customer? Okay. And if you have any specific delivery plan, you can specify that delivery plan for this customer. So by using the what delivery plan, you have to create delivery while doing the like goods issue process. Okay. And you can specify whether the complete delivery required for this customer. That means, for example, if the customer places the order for 10 products, if the customer places the order for 10 products, okay, sometimes what happens, you can do like for all the 10 products, you can do 10 different deliveries, one product at one time. Or if he says that complete delivery required by law, then you cannot do the partial deliveries. You have to do like all the 10 products at one time. Or if you are okay with if the customer is okay with partial deliveries, okay, you can specify whether the partial delivery is allowed or not. You can specify whether the partial delivery is allowed or not. There are different options. You can say partial delivery is allowed, or create a delivery quantity with greater than 0. That means at least one quantity delivery should be done. So only complete delivery is allowed. Okay, like this you can specify your delivery, the partial delivery priorities, or a delivery priority, or it's not delivery priority, it's a partial delivery is allowed or not. If you say complete delivery by law, then no more partial deliveries are allowed by the system. When you try to do the delivery multiple times, like different quantities at the different times, system will not allow you. But if you say partial delivery allowed, if you say partial deliveries are allowed, then the system allows you to do the partial deliveries. And also you can specify what are the number of partial deliveries. So though it is a partial deliveries are allowed, it is not good practice to do like hundreds of different deliveries, right? That's why you can specify what are the maximum partial deliveries allowed. So these kind of shipping details or the shipping information can be maintained for this customer. And then if you go to the billing document, okay, so here you have to maintain what are the Incoterms. So basically Incoterms means the Incoterms represents, so the terms and conditions, between your company and your customer, in terms of freight, in terms of delivery charges, in terms of freight, or in terms of delivery charges. So basically, in other words, the Incoterms means the International Chamber of Commerce. Incoterms, what happens? The International Chamber of Commerce released, different rules to identify the responsibility of the buyers. So this Incoterms represents, okay, this Incoterms helps you to identify the roles and responsibilities, the responsibilities of buyer and seller, the responsibilities of the buyer and seller while delivering the goods in the international trade. So that means while you are doing the delivery, of your product, okay, the Incoterms represents the responsibilities of the both buyer and seller. That means, okay, if you say that the CFR, cost and freight, so okay, it represents okay, so the whether the buyer is the responsible, for the uh, cost of freight, cost of like the charges, or whether the seller is responsible, whether the seller is the responsible for delivering the goods. So like this the system, like this you can define the incoterms, in the system, or incoterms for your customer. Okay, whether it is no freight, if you want to say no freight charges are applicable, if you want to say no freight charges for this customer, if you want to say no freight charges for this customer, then what happens, you can say freight free. Okay, and whereas if you want to say like the buyer is responsible for the complete cost of cost of delivering the goods, or the freight, then you can say CFR. If you say the buyer is responsible for cost of the delivery, or insurance for the goods and freight, then you can say like CAF. So like this, the incoterms represents the responsibilities of buyers and sellers while delivering the goods as part of the shipping process. Okay, that is what we specify here. Okay, and then the payment terms represents, okay, what are the payment conditions, between you and your customer. So that means you can specify whether the customer can pay the invoice within the 15 days of the month, or within 30 days of the month, or within the customer has to pay immediately. So those the payment conditions, those terms and conditions to make the payment, you can maintain under the payment terms. And there is something called account assignment group. This field will help you. To identify whether the revenue from this customer, whether the revenue from this customer should belongs to, whether the revenue from this customer should belongs to like domestic sales, as part of the domestic sales, whether this revenue from the customer belongs to foreign revenue, or whether this revenue from this customer belongs to you can say domestic, or international, or you can say this is like some sample goods, whether the revenue from this customer only like the sample sales, or the sample sales that are processed, or like a free of charge process. So that you can specify. Okay, that you can specify here. So based on this account group, system will post the value of this customer. Sales order and the billing document to a particular account. That means at any point of time, the revenue what you get from any customer should be posted to some account, right, Umaira, Vijay? So whenever you create a billing document, the value of your billing document should be posted to particular account. You cannot combine. You cannot keep all the amount into one account, right? You need to differentiate. For domestic revenue. You need to differentiate your foreign revenue. You need to differentiate your
taxes
or discounts, and what different ways. So in order to differentiate those values, you need to specify under what account group this customer belongs to. so that it will help you in the future while doing the account determination. You can you can transfer the amounts to a specific account that you can specify here. Okay, and you can specify whether the tax exempted or tax applicable for this customer. So these are the the most important details. What sales tab, shipping tab, okay, and billing tab. These are the more important tabs. So documents, we don't do anything here. Okay. So this is all about the customer master. So basically this represents, all the outputs applicable for this customer. Like sometimes you need to send if you create an inquiry document, what you want to do, you want to send inquiry confirmation to your customer, right? And if you create a quotation, you want to send quotation confirmation, or if you create order confirmation. So whatever the confirmations you wanted to send it to your customer, those confirmations you can create as a output, okay, as a output, and you can assign all those outputs to your customer here. Okay, that's what, but we will have separate topic to discuss the output determination. We have a separate topic to discuss the output determination. And partner functions system will determine automatically, okay, whether ship to party is applicable for this customer, bill to party is applicable for this customer, or sold to the payer is applicable for this customer. Okay, as of now, whether the system generated the number, no, right? Why? Because you didn't save it. Your account group specified, your account group is configured saying that internal number range. Internal number range means we will give the number to the customer. Internal number range means we will give the number to the customer. The system will give the number. System will give the number. If you say external number means, then you have to specify the number to this customer. You see now, if I save it, you can see the system is going to generate the number for this customer. Yes, Vijay.
So if suppose we want to create more than one sold to party or bill to party, so that means when we create again, we have to determine the partner determination. We have to do it manually, or does it automatically?
You want to create a separate customer?
Yes.
Then you can simply use
Or extra.
simply account group.
I mean, it's not mandatory like we should have only one sold to party, right? I mean, one bill to party. We can have many bill to parties, right? Or even what do you call payer? We can have ship to party.
That
So,
you need to specify in the partner determination. We will discuss that. That we need to what partner functions are applicable for this customer. Right now, there are 4 partner functions are applicable for this customer. So that means this customer is playing the role as a sold to party. This customer is also playing the role as a bill to party. This customer is playing the role as a payer, and also this customer is playing the role as a ship to party. If in case, if this customer is not, if this customer is only playing the role as a sold to party, and there is a different bill to party for this customer, then you have to create a different bill to party and then assign that bill to party to this customer. Then there are different numbers. In this case,
Yeah.
the same customer is playing the role as sold to party, bill to party, payer, and ship to party. If in case different, you need to configure like the partner function level. That is partner determination. That we will discuss. It's actually too early for us to discuss that topic. Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
So basically, like what we discussed in the general data, we maintained name and address details. In the general data, we maintain the name and address details, and then in the same general data, we also maintained in the marketing tab, we have something called classification of the customer. Basically, the classification of the customer, represents what industry this customer belongs to, or like what is the the volume of sales. What is the volume of sales this customer belongs to? What category? Whether this customer belongs to like 1 million business customer, or a 2 million business customer, or more than 50 million customer, like that. You can classify the customers. You can classify the customers by using the sales figures. You can classify the customers using the sales figures, or you can classify the customers using the industry. So that is what the customer classification represents, what we discussed in the marketing tab. Okay. And after that, we discussed about the sales area data of the customer. The sales area data has a sales tab, shipping tab, billing tab, and partner function tab. Basically, the sales tab has like all the sales related information. What sales group this customer belongs to, what sales office this customer belongs to. Okay, and what is the order probability for this customer. These details we discussed in the sales tab. And then shipping tab, we discussed about the delivery priorities, whether the partial deliveries are allowed. Okay, and the shipping conditions we discussed in the shipping tab. Under the billing tab, you need to specify the Incoterms. And also you need to specify the payment terms, Incoterms, payment terms, and the tax exemptions and the account assignment groups are maintained in the billing tab. So this is all what we know, what we need to know about the sales and distribution customer master data. That means when you create a customer master at the sales organization level or the sales and distribution level, customer master data while creating the sales or organization level or the sales level. So these are the details what we have to understand, what we have to discuss. Okay. So any doubts here?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I wanted to take one more class in the evening. Okay, but I will confirm you in a couple of hours.
Okay.
I would like to take one more class in the evening, and I will confirm you by afternoon. Okay, since you are all from the US, I can confirm you in a couple of hours by 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I will confirm you about the today. I will update you in the group. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Venkat. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.